Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Unquestionably Raw NBA podcast. I am your host, Matt Miller, and I've got my co-host back with me, Mr. Pete Toll. Welcome back, Pete.
What's up, Matt? Glad to be back on here talking some hoops.
Yes. And also another longtime guest, and basically another co-host of mine, Mr. DJ Gonzo Star. What's going on?
What's going on? How you guys doing? Glad to be back.
Outstanding. Yes, we had to get the band back together again.
Yeah.
So far we're a month into the NBA season. I don't think I've done a single podcast yet for this NBA season. Maybe one. It's time to start pumping some more out. But I want to get started on this. And for all of you who've been watching games, we've noticed they're calling traveling, they're calling moving screens and all that stuff. And I'm going to go to you first, Pete. This is good for the NBA, right?
Yeah,
they're
absolutely.
making these calls.
Yeah, I mean, because if you look at last season, pretty much every time Kyrie Irving did something that was a damn travel, and they would never call it. And so I'm glad to see that this year, not necessarily just on Kyrie Irving, but just league wide, they're calling it. They're calling. They're not giving kind of the fluff fouls necessarily to James Harden, where you can flail your arms out and just get a call and that's how you score, 50 points in a game. Now you're having to earn bucket for bucket. For example, just in the Lakers game the other night, I know for a fact 3 separate times Kyle Kuzma was called for a travel, if not 4 times. So it's definitely rampant around the NBA, and then the moving screens as well, or illegal screens as well, are being called. So it's definitely a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Gonzo, what are your thoughts on this? Because I know you've complained about NBA officiating for a while now.
Yeah, I have. I think it's kind of a good thing. I think my main thing has always been, don't let the players be bigger than the game itself. We want to stay true to the rules, true to the way things are supposed to be in an NBA game. And I think it's just one step in getting it back to where it's basketball first, and it's not really so much about who's traveling, or just if you're traveling, you're traveling. If you're fouling, you're fouling. We're calling the calls as they should be called, when they should be called. So I mean,
Yes.
I applaud them. I applaud them for that.
Absolutely. And you've all brought up great points, and I'm just going to add where I think it's a good thing. We know a lot of the young players, our middle school and high school players, are watching these games. They're seeing it be called now. And so now it's going to help them in their development in the youth game. So I think that's a good thing. You're not seeing guys take 2 steps and then they dribble the ball because it's a travel. And I see a lot of young players doing that, so I'm glad they're calling that. As far as the moving screens go, good on them. I mean, it's been happening for years. I mean, we all know Golden State's gotten away with the moving screens. Gonzo's mentioned it. We know Kevin Garnett would set all the moving screens. It's good they're calling it. It's cleaning it up a little. And the key is they always do a point of emphasis every year. I want to see it continue throughout the season. There's always that point of emphasis. They call it the first, month of the season. Then it goes back to the way it always is. Let's continue this. And so I think it's a good thing so far. Good job by the NBA officiating. I think the games have actually been officiated a little bit better this year. So that's a good thing. But on to this next topic, the Boston Celtics. We all know Gordon Hayward goes down the first 6 minutes of the ballgame, the broken leg, the messed up ankle, all that stuff. Terrible injury. And they start out 0-2, right? And we're thinking, oh, gosh, maybe they're 7th, 8th seed now. They're probably going to make the playoffs because they're really talented, but they're not going to be, upper echelon of the Eastern Conference. Well, this team is now, 11, 12-2? Did they win tonight?
They are just about 37 seconds away, so it'll be 13 games in a row.
Yeah, so they'll be 13-2. Yeah. And I have to ask you, Gonzo, what's going on in Boston? Is this team for real without Gordon Hayward?
I think it is for real, and I think I hate what happened to Gordon Hayward, but I also think that sometimes when bad things happen, there's always a blessing somewhere else or within your system. And what I mean by that is now you force guys like Jaylen Brown to get more playing time to see what he can do on a full-time basis. You get to throw a guy like Jason Tatum in. You're throwing him in the fire, but he's getting a lot of experience early.
Mm-hmm.
And it allows like for other guys to get more playing time as well, like Rozier and like I say, Marcus Smart. You got Thies. You got Aaron Baines, who comes in
Yes.
games and has been given really good minutes.
Semi
But I also
Ojale.
think that I think it's two things though that actually makes what Boston has done. It's drafting. First of all, you drafted a 6'8", 6'9" guy like Tatum, a lot of length, who's 6'7". You got a guy like Marcus Smart who's 6'4", maybe 225 pounds. You got Rozier who's quick, but you got Thies who's like maybe 6'8", if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I may be wrong in his height. Baines is probably 6'10", 6'11". Okay, 6'9". Okay, so you got guys with length, so that can actually help you on defense. So when you're not really good moving your feet, arm length to kind of recover, to kind of keep things at bay. So I think they drafted well. That it just goes to show you how great of a coach Brad Stevens is. We've never seen Kyrie Irving play defense like this. Like his improvement on defense alone is much credit to Brad Stevens. I think running defensively, and whatever whatever he's teaching his guys as a team, it works. And it just goes to show you that he's probably one of the top 5 coaches in the NBA right now.
And good point on mentioning the length and guys like Tice and all those guys, because Pete, I mean, they're still right there. They're a top 3 defensive team in the NBA.
They're the number 1 defensive team in the NBA. They're only giving up 94 points a game. So for me, looking at Brad Stevens and just what he has been able to do, kind of propelling this team past adversity with, the Hayward injury, because this team could have, even in the game they played opening night when Hayward got hurt, you saw Kyrie Irving bust out in tears, and rightfully so, because that's your teammate, and they're actually friends, off the court, and you don't want to see that happen. But to rally your team back, and that was not an ugly loss for Boston, and it helped. Like Gonzo said, with Tatum especially, because it allowed him to slow down, stop taking so many of those mid-range, settling for the mid-range jumpers, and kind of learn to slow down, pick your spots. And then for Jaylen Brown, to come in, all right, you've got to be aggressive. You can't take this play off offensively. You really got to push it. And he's done a great job on both ends of the floor. And then you look at a guy like Al Horford. I mean, many people would have said that last year Al Horford wasn't very good defensively. This year he's looked very good, and then he's able to knock down the 3-point shot as throughout the season. And then Kyrie Irving, like Gonzo said, I mean, out of this world offensively, but now you add the defense to his game, and he's engaged. It kind of makes you wonder, like, how long were things bad in Cleveland to where Kyrie really wanted out before he spoke up and said he wanted out, because, he hasn't been an effective defensive player his entire career. And then, 15 games in, he's really, really good for Boston.
Absolutely. And you guys have all brought up great points. And, I did Czar's Sim Hangout last Friday, and this is what I said, because we talked about Boston a little bit. And I hope it doesn't come off bad, and I hope it didn't then, that Hayward's injury, kind of like Gonzo, it was a blessing in disguise in a sense, because with Hayward and Kyrie Irving, you've got 2 number 1 guys. They're going to duke it, who's 1A, who's 1B, this and that, learning to play with each other. Well, without him, Kyrie Irving is the guy. So you don't have to worry about that extra, just playing together and learning each other's spots. I think that's helped.
I think, honestly, Hayward would have taken a back seat.
Absolutely.
Kyrie, because
it would have taken a little bit of time, though, I think.
Yeah, I think it would have. Honestly, I think to gel, it would have taken a little bit.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So you're right there. And then, not to miss out on getting Marcus Morris back too. Like that helps. Another in there at the power forward spot.
And I like when Gonzo mentioned guys like Tice, 6'9", but these guys can all move. So defensively, they help. The length, they can move. They play good. The good off ball. The off ball defense is not just about on ball. And we've seen it in the finals with Kyrie. He has given Curry problems defensively a little bit. He smothers him and he's all over him. Curry just makes tough shots. So we know Kyrie's capable of playing on ball defense. But now with Stevens, he's playing. He's playing help side defense, and he's doing all the little things that are making him an average, I would say average, slightly above average NBA defender, which is all you can ask. So I think that's huge. And Ireland's doing, I think as long as they can continue to stay healthy, so with what they have, obviously, Hayward's out, Kyrie's back tonight, wearing the mask and all that, Horford. So hopefully, that. And I want to say, I think Tatum has been a positive on defense for them.
Yeah, I mean, Tatum has surprised me because I thought that was going to be a very, very sore weak spot for him. And, he was going to actually struggle a little bit on offense to start the year. And he's actually proven me wrong, able to get in the low post, score some there, has been able to knock down the three as well. So he's looked very good.
Yeah, absolutely. Now what I want to do, I don't want to so much – we'll do it. We'll talk a little New York Knicks right now. I think, what are they now, 6-6, 7-6, 7-7, something like – they're right there around the game. Yeah, 7-6. And this is a team that obviously, all three of us probably predicted would be one of the worst 4 or 5 teams in the NBA, and they've surprised so far. Porzingis, clearly an early MVP candidate. Pete, what are you noticing with the Knicks that has surprised you?
Well, first, unlike LeBron James, I'm actually going to highlight Frank Ntilikina. His defensive prowess. What did he have? 6 steals the other night as a rookie. I mean, that is phenomenal. Yeah. Now in Strasbourg, he played for Strasbourg in Germany last year. That's where he, or in France last year. That's where he came over from, and he played off the ball. So people were kind of dissecting: is he really going to be a point guard? I think he's able to run an offense, and with his real ability to defend, he's going to be okay. He's shown that he can knock down the three. He's shown that he can get a little pull up in the lane as well. He's going to be fine. And you couple that with a, resurged effort from Enes Kanter.
Yes.
Doug McDermott being able to fill in. What's he averaging? 7 points a game off the bench.
Shooting 44% for and Doug's actually been okay defensively.
Yeah, and then you've got Jared Jack, who's basically playing on one leg. He's able to come in and facilitate for the team, averaging 5.5 assists. That's all they need him to do. They don't need him to score, 15 points a game. Get 7, assists in the game, run the offense at a steady pace, get the ball to Porzingis, and there you go. And then Tim Hardaway Jr., I'm not a huge fan of his game, but, he's putting up 17 points a game. I think he needs to shoot it, obviously, better from 3. And take a little bit less ISO situations. But, hey, he's proven me wrong so far this season that
it's better than what they got from Melo last year, right?
Yeah. And I think collectively this team is actually having fun on the court, and they're actually bonding in the locker room, and that's a huge difference. You saw it with Enes Kanter having Porzingis' back. Even after the fact, the comments come out today, the king, the queen, the princess – whatever, LeBron James spouted off, Enes Kanter coming to the defense saying, hey, I'm still going to stick up for my guys.
And you saw a little thing with all the picture Kanter's there talking about family. It's all good stuff, man. We all like the Kanter, man. Gonzo, I'm going to take this in a different direction because I know this is where I know you can jump in here. Not having Carmelo Anthony, has that been a big plus for this Knicks team?
It's been a huge revelation. Look,
yes.
Look, I'm gonna tell you something. The 2 things that were bringing the Knicks down, and we almost all agree on this, was Carmelo and Phil Jackson. Now they've got those 2 guys out of the way. Now you can actually build around Porzingis. You got Porzingis, you got a superstar. He's a bona fide, legit superstar, and he's only getting better. Admission, you gave the big guy, you've given him a point guard who can play defense, who can run an offense, who can play a defense. Now you can build other things around you. You gave him McDermott. You got shooters. You got Courtney Lee, who's a shooter. You could probably give him some more shooters and maybe another defensive presence like a rim protector or something like that, to help him out. But you got
he's got Kanter to go with him too, for rebounding.
You do, but see, but the thing is you got your star, you got your point guard. I think Jeff Hornacek has always been a good coach. I just think that he hasn't been given a fair chance because people forget how he almost led Phoenix. To the playoffs.
And you know what? That team, that first year he was in Phoenix,
a game and a half.
They were supposed to be the worst team in the NBA, and they won 48 games.
wins, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, he's actually a really good coach, and he there's a lot of credit. Uh, like I said, it was Melo, Phil Jackson. They're playing with energy. Uh, they're playing as a team. Like I said, you can tell they're building chemistry. They're working together and they're enjoying. I believe that when you're a team and you enjoy playing together, I think wins will come. You're gonna get your bumps and your bruises, but wins will come just because you believe in one another. You know, so
Absolutely.
Knicks, I believe the Knicks are gonna make the playoffs this year.
Nice. Gonzo's saying it. I'm not. Pete and I aren't.
I can't go that far.
I'm not hating on you though, Gonzo. I think it could happen. It could happen. I can't say it's not far off.
Another thing that you know, I don't think should be overlooked is Jeff Hornacek is not having to kind of play some of the same guys that Phil wanted out on the court, like Ron Baker, you know, things like that.
And what is it, Vujacic, whatever his name is, Sasha.
Yeah, he's not on the team. So he's gotten better talent there. One thing I'd like to see is Billy Hernan Gomez. Yes. I'd like to see him out on the floor, getting a little bit more minutes. You know, and I think he'll eventually supplant.
You know what? Quick question for you, Pete. As far as the Knicks go, obviously we know Joakim's been cleared to come back. So you get rid of Kuzminskis.
Right.
Why Kuzminskis?
Because they really don't have a rotation spot. He was a Phil Jackson guy that they brought in. Who is he necessarily going to play over? He's not going to play over.
I agree, but I mean, would you rather have a Kuzminskis or Sessions?
I mean, Sessions Sessions is not great, but you have to look at this. Like Jared Jack has a bad injury history. You know, the last couple of seasons. So if they lose him, you're running Ron Baker at the point guard. Do you want Ron Baker out there?
So why not Ron Baker? Why not Ron Baker then?
I mean, he signed a 3-year contract. Too much money.
Or Beasley.
Now Beasley, I could have seen, you know, Beasley being the one to go, but I think the best thing overall for both sides, and they may have done this, like Kuzminskis could have came to them, and he may have, and said, hey, I'd like to go to another team where I can play. Would he fit on the Chicago Bulls right now over a guy like Paul Zipser? Absolutely he would, and that's who I want to pick him up.
You know what's funny? I actually like Paul Zipser. I don't think he's a bad NBA player, so and I would take Kuzminskis over him. And I like Paul Zipser as a Bulls fan. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. It is what it is. But this is one thing I forgot. I was almost going to skip this. Last week, I forgot what day it was. Eric Bledsoe gets traded to the Milwaukee Bucks. Mm-hmm. The Bucks get the Suns get the Bucks first round pick, and they get Greg Monroe. Pete, what's going to happen with Greg Monroe here, and what do you think of this trade for the Bucks bringing in Bledsoe?
Well, with Bledsoe, they're 3-0, so they've won 3 straight games with him.
There you go.
He's starting. Which pushes Brogdon to the second unit.
Which I don't like.
No, I actually like that because it puts Brogdon in a situation to where he can kind of anchor that second team, where you got Brogdon and McCurr off the bench, and then you've got shooting with Teletovic off the bench. Mm-hmm. It's actually hurt Tony Snell more than it's hurt Malcolm Brogdon, because Brogdon's just he keeps plugging along, playing the same way he played as a starter. From the Suns side, it was all about the draft pick. With Monroe, he's probably going to get bought out, and then they'll probably move a guy like Tyson Chandler as well. Because if you watch the Suns game yesterday, Dragan Bender looked good finally. Very consistent from 3, able to get to the lane. Now Marquise Chris is another story. I'm not a huge fan, but that's a whole another topic there. But for the Bucks side, I think it really helps them because Bledsoe is able to give them a scoring punch in a different way.
And Monroe really wasn't playing, and Monroe wasn't really getting huge minutes this year, was he?
Well, he was hurt, so that factored in. And then, they've been trying to move him for 2 years now. So
and you've got Henson, and you've got Henson and Maker, so you don't really need Greg Monroe. Exactly. Right. What about you, Gonzo? What did you think of this trade?
I think it was a good thing for Milwaukee. I mean, you give Giannis another option who can create his own shot, can score. I think it would improve them, get them a few more wins in the East. But I mean, it's the East. I figured they were going to make the playoffs anyway with Giannis. So, but like I said, it does give them a second scoring option next to Giannis. Phoenix Suns, like I said, I'm gonna have to agree with Pete on this one. I think they're probably going to buy them out. It's more about the draft pick. I like in rebuilding mode right now, and I think they're just trying to find themselves to find out what pieces to and what pieces they're going to be letting go.
Absolutely. I agree. I think that Phoenix, they're rebuilding for the future, and for the Bucks, you get Eric Bledsoe. You trade a guy who really wasn't in the future plans anyways, wasn't playing much this year due to him being hurt, but it helps, especially with Parker being out. Now you got another guy who can score some buckets for you. Play a little, he's a plus defender as well. He'll get out there and play some defense for you. So I think that's going to help. And it's going to be interesting to see what this Bucks team does the rest of the season once Parker comes back. Which I saw a workout video of him there. He looked like he was moving well. So hopefully it translates onto the court once he gets back into action. And we're going to see what happens there. But now I want to go into the main part of our episode tonight. We're going to do our power rankings, and what we're going to do, we'll start with our teams, and we're going to rank the top teams in the NBA. So we'll go 10, and I'm going to go first to you, Gon. 10. We'll go 10 through 5 right now. Or 10 through 6. Who's 10 through 6 for you?
For me, at 10, I have the Philadelphia 76ers.
Nice.
At 9, I have the Memphis Grizzlies.
Okay.
At 8, I have the Denver Nuggets. At 7, I have the New Orleans Pelicans. And at 6, I have the New York Knicks.
Okay. Wow. Ooh. I like it. Dang, that's really high. I didn't have the Knicks on there. Okay, Pete, what do you have?
I'm actually going to change my number 10. I'm going to put my Sixers on there. I had them. I had them at 11.
We've convinced him. We've convinced him. Yes.
Yeah, I'll put him on there at number 10. And then I've got the Denver Nuggets 9.
Okay.
I've got the Memphis Grizzlies at 8.
Ooh.
I've got the Milwaukee Bucks at 7. And then let me see. Click off of. And then at 6, I've got the Toronto Raptors.
Okay. So mine's a little different than both of yours. I've got Philly at 10. Everybody knows I've got Philly third in the East this year, and I'm sticking to it. I love this team. They started off, I think, 1-4. They really, right now, if you look at their record, they probably, I think they're 7-6 right now. They probably should be 12-1.
They're 8-6, right?
Are they 8? I think they're 7. They're 7-6. They're 7-6. They should be 12-1 because every single loss, except for that Raptors loss, they had the lead in the fourth quarter. I've got the New Orleans Pelicans 9. I'm actually shocked. I didn't think they'd be very good this year, but Cousins and Davis have been fantastic. And I'll get to Cousins later in our rankings too.
It won't last long.
Yeah, I know it won't. It might not last long.
I'm going to be a hater. It won't last long.
It's been a month. It's been a month. I've got Denver 8. Got off to a slow start, but they're starting to look like the team we thought they'd be. I've got Washington 7, and I've got the San Antonio Spurs at number 6.
Oh, okay.
All right, Pete. Who do you got 5-1?
See, I've got the Spurs at 5.
Okay.
Because they actually 4 wins in their last 5 games, even without Kawhi Leonard. So they've been able to kind of patchwork that team together like the Spurs always do. Every time we write them off, they still stay relevant. The Detroit Pistons are my number 4. Nobody saw this coming. I don't care if you're a Pistons beat writer, you did not see this.
Our good buddy Duncan Smith didn't see this coming.
Yeah, no way. No, you did not see this coming. At number 3, I've got the Houston Rockets.
Okay.
And then number 2, I've got the Boston Celtics. And then number 1, I've got the Golden State Warriors.
Nice. What about you, Gonzo? 5-1.
At 5, I have Minnesota Timberwolves.
Nice.
At 4, I have the Detroit Pistons.
Okay.
At 3, I have the Golden State Warriors. Ooh. At 2, I have the Houston Rockets because they have beat Golden State in Golden State, and they're 11-3, I think.
Okay.
Houston Rockets at 2, and Boston number 1.
I like it. And for everybody who knows, Thursday we got Golden State Boston, so that should be a good one on TNT. Okay, mine, I've got the Minnesota Timberwolves 5. My Timberwolves, they're just a year late because I had them in the playoffs last year. I was a year off. I got the Detroit Pistons 4. I've got the Boston Celtics 3, the Rockets 2, and I've Golden State number 1. Golden State's just looking like they're going to run away with it as long as they stay healthy. Nobody's touching this team. Okay, now, Pete, Rookie of the Year. We know who your number 1's going to be, but let's go 5-1 now for early Rookie of the Year. Who you've got in your rankings?
All right, so I've got Lauri Markkanen at 5.
Okay.
And I had him higher, if we would have done this, a week or so ago. But I think now, because teams are kind of honing in on that nobody else on that team is that good, we'll kind of.
Let me ask you this before you go to your next. When you get Zach LaVine back, do you think that helps Markkanen a little bit because it gives another really good player out there for him?
Absolutely helps him because now they're going to have to focus on because Zach LaVine can drive to the hole. He can obviously dunk on people. And he likes to shoot threes, so they have to guard both, situations. And I think that's going to if they can get Jerry Grant off the floor and insert Chris Dunn into the starting lineup. Dunn's not a great player by any means,
but he's a good defender. Yes,
defensively he can help, and then he finds Markkanen in good spots. And Markkanen averaging almost 8 rebounds is a hell of a lot better than I thought he was going to do. So I thought he was just going to be.
And he's blocking some shots too.
Yep. At number 4, I've got Kyle Kuzma of the Los Angeles Lakers.
Nice.
Nobody in the world saw Kyle Kuzma doing
You know what? Hey, you know what though? After Summer League, we may have been like, wait a second, this guy's pretty good.
Even I'm talking about before Summer League because when he was in college, it was like this guy is not an NBA player. Like, what the hell what are the Lakers doing?
And they took him in the first round.
It was like, wait, what? Like he might be okay, but like they have Larry Nance, they've got Julius Randle, and I'm not a fan of Julius Randle, although he's played better this year. But Kyle Kuzma has outplayed both of them. Honestly, now he's starting. He's averaging, 15 a game, able to knock down
threes. Is it safe to say he's outplayed Brandon Ingram as well?
Yeah, well, he's outplayed Ingram. He's outplayed Lonzo Ball.
He's the best rookie on the team.
Yeah, he's the best. He's probably your best Laker up there with how well Caldwell Pope's played and Brook Lopez. Like those 3 are carrying the Lakers right now. Number 3, I've got Donovan Mitchell, the Utah Jazz. Ooh. I was very, very, very high on Donovan Mitchell coming out in the draft, and he's just proven why. He's able to score at will. He started the last game over Rodney Hood for the Jazz. So he's not shooting the best, but he's able to use his athleticism to get to the rim and finish. So I think that's a plus there. And I think with him, his elite athleticism, I think he's able to, be a great plus defender in the future. And then Jason Tatum, 2, for Boston Celtics. Talked about him earlier, able to post up, score in the mid-range, and shoot the 3, showing the ability to defend, when he's engaged. And, of course, he makes rookie mistakes, but all rookies are bad. For the most part on defense, but he gives great effort. And then, of course, number 1, Ben Simmons of the Philadelphia 76ers. I mean, what can this guy not do except shoot threes? And I think that once he's able to incorporate the, 15, 18-foot jumper on a consistent basis, this guy is going to be one of the top elite level players in the NBA. He's not there yet.
He's going to be the best player. He's going to be the best player in the NBA in 2 years.
I mean, he's gonna be a good one.
He's going to be
right now. If you were to look at the 76ers and everybody's hyping up Embiid and everything like that, if you had to poll, and I'm a Sixers fan, you had to poll the
Embiid's
Sixers.
the best player on the team, or not Embiid, but Simmons is the best player on the team.
Yeah, you have to say, okay, is it Embiid or Simmons? If you had to build around one or the other, I take Simmons because Simmons can play basically all 5 positions on the floor.
And here's the thing. Simmons has an uncanny, as a young age, he doesn't play out of control. Like we see Embiid get out of control from time to time.
Yeah, like Embiid at the end of the last game was triple teamed, and he still tried to duck under for an up and under, and it was like, come on, man, you almost cost us the game, and And now Simmons makes some bad passes with some risks. But
Absolutely. He's
I
young.
would rather have those risky passes and have the excitement and just being able to push the ball.
Mm-hmm.
One knock, I want him to shoot with his right hand.
Yes. I was just going to say that.
I mean, it's killing me because it's like you can finish so much better if you use your right hand. And let's not negate the fact of how much J.J. Redick's helped Ben Simmons as well. And Robert Covington.
Yes. Who is better than Andrew Wiggins? Who is better than Andrew Wiggins right now? I'm going to throw that out there. Absolutely. All right, Gonzo. Who do you got? 5-1 Rookie of the Year.
At number 5, I have Dennis Smith Jr.
Okay.
At number 4, I have De'Aaron Fox.
Okay.
At number
the game winner against
3, I have Lauri Markkanen.
Okay.
At 2, I have Jason Tatum. And at 1, you pretty much already know. I just want to say this. This guy is already a step ahead of where LeBron was when he was a rookie. Because he can actually, he's knocking down his mid-range shot much better than what the scouting report said he could do at first. And he's going to the hole with force. He's bringing it. His passing skills are good. His rebounding skills are good. He's scoring. He seems to be consistent scoring wise. I like this guy. I think he might be the best player in the NBA in the next couple of years.
So you agree with me then? He's going to be the best player in the NBA in 2-3 years.
I think he will. I honestly think he will. He has a lot of the tools. He's a special player.
Yes, absolutely. That's why, I have League Pass. I've watched every Philly game. Pete, that's for you. I like the Sixer team. I've been saying it for a while now. I said it over the summer. They're going to finish 3rd in the East.
Now you're higher on, and I'm a Philly.
That's what's crazy.
And I can't because they lose too many close situational.
They're going to figure it out
games because of either bad situations as far as lineups with Brett Brown. He plays, I think, some of the backups a little bit too much in tight situations, and then
like TLC,
basically, and Amir Johnson. Amir Johnson should never touch the ball offensively ever again.
I want to know this. Why is Amir Johnson in the game over Rashawn Holmes?
No, I'll take Holmes. I'll take Amir Johnson as far as defensively and, being able to bump guys in the lane because Holmes could do that a little bit, but for some reason he's regressed this year to where he's not showing, kind of the drive that he showed last year.
Let's go to Okafor then, right?
Yeah, you damn sure are not playing Jahlil Okafor. If you're playing Jahlil Okafor, then you're losing by 20 points in that game. Yes. I mean, there's just no situation that you can't. Now,
yes.
I think that once they get Markelle Fultz back, I think you're going to see Markelle Fultz totally revamped because that kid doesn't lack confidence. I just worry about his ability to kind of brush off advice from better players, veterans, things like that say, hey, you should do this. He kind of scoffs at it a little bit and wants, not in a rude way, but wants to just kind of make his own path. And I respect that to a point. But at the other side of it is you're a rookie. You might want to listen to the vet, like a J.J. Redick that could give you a few pointers.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I like this Philly team. Now, my 5, I actually have Donovan Mitchell at number 5. I think he's been fantastic. Yes, he's erratic with his shooting, but he's such a smooth jump shooter. I think he's just young. I think he'll become a really good shooter, and he's super aggressive. I like that. I got Kyle Kuzma, number 4, just like Pete. At number 3, I have Lauri Markkanen. Yeah, he's kind of come back to earth a little bit the last, five games or so, but I think he'll be okay. He shoots the ball well, and we saw it the other day. I forgot who they were playing. He started out like 1 of 5 from 3, but he's driving to the basket. He takes 2 dribbles, a little behind the back, little pull up, stop on a dime jump shot. So he does other things. Jason Tatum, clearly number 2, best rookie in this class period of this past draft class. Obviously, we know who number 1 is, but Jason Tatum, I mean, he's on the best team in the NBA. He's playing defense. He's making threes. His ISO game is he's fantastic. And Ben Simmons, I mean, we've talked about it enough. The guy's fantastic. He's going to be the best player in the NBA in 3 years. Will he be LeBron James? remains to be seen because LeBron is a top 5 player of all time, but Simmons definitely has the potential.
I
Go ahead.
I just want Embiid and Simmons to know that you can have 2 alphas on the team that can play off of each other. I just don't want
Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, right?
Yeah, I just don't want to kind of get 3 years down the road and, say Ben Simmons has a little bit more success than Embiid does, but Embiid's still thriving as one of the best centers in the NBA. Embiid kind of is like, well, this is my team, and I don't want any of that.
You don't want Penny. You don't want Penny and Shaq. You don't want Penny and Shaq all over again.
Right. I just hope they're able to coexist and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now you're going to have guys like JJ Redick that moves on because he'll eventually retire. Things like that. So they've got to build pieces elsewhere as far as fleshing out the team. And I think they will. But I think that Brett Brown deserves to be there to see this through, to see them as a legit, not just an A seed or a 7 seed, a legit top 5 seed, make some noise in the playoffs. I think he deserves that. So hopefully Brian Colangelo allows him to, continue
Brett
on
Brown
and build upon that.
Brett Brown. And I want to say this before we go on to our MVP. Obviously, now is probably Porzingis because he's just been phenomenal. He's probably the front runner for that. But let's throw something out there for Robert Covington. How good, Pete, has Robert Covington been for this team?
I mean, phenomenal. I mean, he's about to get a huge extension tomorrow. He's eligible, for that. And I believe it's going to be about $15 million or so a year for him. And he deserves it because lights out from 3. Every time they needed a big bucket, especially last game, he was there.
Yep.
Timely threes, and not just on the line threes, like deep.
And he shoots shots with guys' hands draped all over him.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. Like now he's actually showing the ability to put it on the floor, get to the hole a little bit, all of that stuff. And so with that, it kind of elevates his shooting from the outside because now teams have to respect his driving lanes. And defensively, he didn't get, just due last year. And I mean, he's a very good defender. And you have to look at it. A lot of the times he's guarding the power forwards for the other team rather than you would think it, Ben Simmons would do it. No, like it's been Robert Covington. And, I have all the respect in the world for Roko's game. And I think, he's there to, kind of as – a centerpiece now, not just kind of a stopgate starter.
And he's not an old guy. He's 25 years old, so he's going to be there for a while.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, that's why I was just saying, like, a lot of people viewed him, even last season, well, Ben Simmons will come in, Ben Simmons will start at the 3, and you'll have Dario Saric at the 4. Like, no. Like, I like Dario Saric. Am I sold on Dario Saric as a long-term starter? Not really.
I am. I like him.
I don't know if the shooting will get well enough that he can remain a full-time starter. Will he be a super sub, so to speak? Yes. But do I think he's a long-term starter?
I think he's a long-term starter. That's just me. I could be completely wrong. You know this team better than I do. I like his game. I like Sar. But I got to go to you, Gonzo, about Covington, man. How good has he been?
He's actually been really, really good. I know I used to make jokes about Covington, like only when he was like the only guy on the 76ers. But like I said, to be a solid NBA player, a pretty good NBA player. I hope he can do something with Philly, man. I really want to see Philly, get back to being one of those top teams, man.
Yes. Let me ask you this,
Gonzo. I guess.
Go ahead.
No, I just said I just miss kind of like. I guess I just miss the nostalgia of the NBA. I miss seeing the Lakers, the Knicks, the Sixers in the playoffs. I want to get back to those days we see those teams in the playoffs.
And we're getting there. Let me ask you this: if this Philly team stays healthy, Gonzo, are they in the playoffs?
Oh, easily.
Yes, I agree. They're easily one of the.
They could be a top 4 seed in the East.
See, yes, Gonzo's with me. I got him 3rd. If healthy, I've got him 3rd. I think Simmons and Embiid are that good. And I did not anticipate Covington being this good. I'm surprised that he's fit in as quickly as he has because, he's playing with Chris Paul.
Shooting as good as he did last season.
And that's crazy to me because he's playing with all new players. He's not familiar with these guys, which I think is phenomenal. I mean, you saw what he did a few games ago. The guy was 7 threes. He just I love this Philly team. This is last year we were pro Golden State. We'll still be pro Golden State on this podcast, but now we are pro Philadelphia 76ers. We're going to talk a lot about that team. I am biased, I will admit. So we're going to talk a lot about Philly, but here we go. MVP, Gonzo, 5-1. Who do you got so far? We're a month into the season. Who are your 5 MVPs, 5-1? What? How do you have them ranked?
At 5, I have Kevin Durant.
Okay.
Just because of what he's been doing on the defensive end. And I think he's putting up 24.8. He's shooting 54%.
Second in the league in blocks.
5 rebounds. 5 assists a game. Second in the league in blocks. Like he's really upped his game.
Okay.
Even with having all those superstars, he's still being Kevin Durant. 4, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Okay.
For the Milwaukee Bucks. 3, I have Kristaps Porzingis.
Nice.
2, I have Kyrie Irving.
Ooh,
and at number 1,
like
I think this person has been robbed, but they are the reason that their team goes.
James Harden.
Yep, James Harden, hands down.
Yep. I'm with you there. Pete, what about you?
All right, so I've got Kevin Durant at 5 because, obviously the Warriors are 11-3, dominant as they always are. With Durant, what does he shoot? Is it 44% from 3? They basically, when he's on the court, they have a 14-point difference in offensive rating. So that tells you all you need to know about what he's able to do on and off the court. Porzingis is 4. I have Porzingis on the list because I had the Knicks as one of the worst teams in the NBA. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to front and say, oh, man, yeah, I had the Knicks they were going to be okay. No, I had the Knicks at 24 wins for the season. Bad team.
One of the worst 5 teams in the league.
Yeah, I'm not even going to front. I had Brooklyn over New York as far as rankings go. And then I've got Steph Curry in at 3.
I like it. Thank you.
And I think, if you look at Curry, arguably he is what makes Golden State success, in my opinion. Most important, player to their success.
Question. Let me throw this out there though. I would say yes, offensively, but defensively, I think Draymond Green is what makes him.
Right.
So I
should say offensively.
Yeah.
He's what makes it. What makes Golden State go. I think that if you, basically if you put Steph Curry in any other situation, I still think he's able to be top offensive player. But just what he does for Golden State is that much more magnified because
to your point there, what was Steph Curry doing when they were just an average team? He was still dominating.
Right.
So we know he can do it when they're not the best team.
And I'm going to go ahead and say this. I don't have Kyrie Irving on the list. I have him right outside of the top 5.
So why?
He's actually my 6th. Although Boston is 12-2, I don't know. Still, offensively as a facilitator, I'd like to see a little more. Not saying that he's bad because he's not Cleveland Cavaliers bad. I just would like to see him facilitate a little bit more. And the 3-point shooting percentage, I knocked him on that because it's not, very high. Right. And then I also flip it to, I give a little bit more credit to a guy like Al Horford, guys like Aaron Baines, a collective effort rather than just one individual and Kyrie. So that's why I didn't put him that high on the list as an MVP. Not saying Not saying that
Hey,
Kyrie Irving is not having
he's still
a phenomenal
he's
season,
still
'cause he
number
is.
six. You still got him 6. He's not in my
Right.
top 5, so I'm with you
Right,
on
right.
that.
Right. And that takes me to number 2, and this was a toss up for me. I wanted to put Giannis Antetokounmpo at number 1, but I put him at number 2 because of the record. Now they've won 3 straight with Eric Bledsoe on the team, but I think that with Antetokounmpo, I want to see him raise the other players on his team's level of play even more, not just individually his own. And to me, an MVP is most valuable player across the board. I look at individual success, team success. Both, have to help your case for the MVP. Now, when Antetokounmpo is not on the court, the other team's, basically putting up 120.6 offensive rating, which is huge, and that the difference drops to 105.7 when he is on the court. So individually, he's there. Obviously, with the 31 points, 10 rebounds, all that stuff is great. And now he's got Eric Bledsoe to shoulder the load. But my number 1, James Harden, does it all across the board. As Gonzo said, to me, in my opinion, he was robbed last season. I don't think Russell Westbrook, in my opinion, Russell Westbrook had the greatest accolade that you could have, averaging a triple-double for a season. But Houston was the better team, in my opinion, last season, and that's why I would have given the edge to James Harden.
And everybody, the argument was Westbrook had no help. What we're seeing this year from his former teammates, he absolutely had help.
Right, and for what James Harden's been able to do, people thought, okay, he's going to take a step back this season. Now, Chris Paul's been hurt, so we don't know what's going to happen when Chris Paul gets back. But to still have the level of scoring output to couple with his ability to distribute in key situations has just been phenomenal. And I think if he can keep the numbers up where he is, even when Chris Paul comes back, I think he gets the MVP. Now, obviously,
shout out to Byron, who Byron picked.
Yeah, we're
this year.
15 games into the season or so. So, I mean, anything can happen. But you never know. And, the knock was the one knock I had for James Harden, what I wanted to see this year is that abysmal final game to where it looked like he just didn't even want to be out there. I said, he's going to have to show me a lot coming into this season. And 30 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds, and almost 40% from 3. And to have his team at 11-3 without Chris Paul, I mean, that's just.
But I will say they are, I think, even without Chris Paul, I think they're still better because you bring in PJ Tucker, you bring in a guy like Bamute. I think they're actually better.
Mm-hmm.
That's just me. But
I got one more.
Go ahead, Gonzo.
Just for the viewers out there, real quick. Everybody's so enamored by the triple-double of Russell Westbrook. I thought that was fool's.
Yes.
I thought that was fool's gold. Okay. First of all, they pretty much orchestrated their team to let Russell get rebounds to push the fast break.
Mm-hmm.
Russell's not the smartest of playmakers, and he obviously makes, because if you look over at Domantas Sabonis and you look at Oladipo, they look like an all-star and a legit starter compared to playing with Russell Westbrook.
Yep.
Now let's look at James Harden for a second. He didn't average a triple-double, but I think he gave you 29, like 11, and I think he gave you 8. He was better. Yep. He almost gave you a triple-double. Nobody talks about how he's the first person in about 30-some years to average, to score 2,000 points and assist on 2,000 points on his team. Nobody's talking about how he was a better field goal percentage shooter, three-point percentage shooter, free throw shooter than Russell Westbrook. He also had more steals than Russell Westbrook. Like, nobody to that. And he had more wins. Like, to me, that is an MVP. We've gotten so just blindsided by MVPs. And my theory has always been this here. Whenever somebody's averaging a legit triple-double, you're probably not going to go far when it comes to playoff wins. You're probably not going to go real far when it comes to even come close to getting championships. The only person to ever do that was probably Magic Johnson. He's just an exception to the rule. Well, let's just
But
go
hey,
back
they
and look
also
at
had
the
a fantastic team, though.
team. But let's just go look back to the people. Oscar Robertson, and I think in the same season, Bill Russell won MVP. Robinson's team was
Correct.
like barely. Let's go look at LeBron James. He happens a triple double in the finals, and they lost. Double when it pops up, you're usually not a winner because you're doing too much stuff that you probably shouldn't be doing anyway. You shouldn't have to do everything for your team.
Right.
You got big guys for a reason, a bonus, who shows this year what is he averaging, like 12 or 13?
13's averaging about 13 and 10.
13 and 10. So a rebound on the team. Rush, they weren't letting these guys grab the rebounds because they wanted Rush to grab the rebounds.
Right.
So
now the pro Russell Westbrook fans are basically now they're in the witness protection because nowhere to be
They got
found.
Paul George and Carmelo Anthony.
Because basically what are you going to do? What are you going to screenshot a big L for OKC? I mean, you can sit there and say what you want as far as defending Russell Westbrook, but if he's a true leader of a team, you find a way to bring in, a guy like Carmelo and say, all right, I'm going to get mine at this point. You get yours here. All right, Paul George, you get yours here. It's basically, let me bully ball down the court. You're not making the shots you can make before. The team's out of rhythm. And now you actually got legit players that are stars around you.
And let me throw another guy out there who's played well this year, Doug McDermott.
Yeah, but I don't really count because he wasn't really like.
Yeah, but remember that game in Houston? He was open. How many times was he open? And Westbrook just wouldn't.
Threes in the first half, right?
Yeah.
And Westbrook wouldn't even throw him the ball when he's open. I'm just throwing that out there.
But
McDermott's shooting 44% this year.
Let's look at Russ for a minute. The other night, I know you probably saw this, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
The other night when they played against Denver, it was like 1:29 left. They were down by 4 or 5. He jacked up 3 straight threes with no pass.
Yeah. And I know Alex Abrinas is injured. I get that. But wouldn't Alex Abrinas and his three-point shooting make more sense in the lineup than having a guy like Andre Roberson who is just so bad? Because you're going to get scored on regardless. Yes, he's a good defender, but he's so bad offensively. And if you put Abrinas into the starting lineup or even Jeremy Grant in the starting lineup, I think that helps.
Grant can actually make an open three from time to time.
He's athletic defensively. He can get rebounds. And you could actually – it's never going to happen because Carmelo scoffed at it in a joking way in the press conference for when he got to
Carmelo come off the bench.
Right. I mean, he could come off the bench and still play 31 minutes a game and get his 20 points and just kill second units. But he won't do it. And that's the thing. Russ doesn't want to back off being that super alpha. And you've got – Melo, who doesn't want to call off the bench, and then you've got Paul George, who's the one that's kind of sacrificed, but he's one of probably the most outspoken on the team and tells it like it is, and he's kind of carrying them right now, to be honest. And honestly, with that tax bill, they're not going to be able to keep this team together next season.
Nope.
So
Paul George is going to L.A.
He's going to L.A. Like, Matt, you and I talked about this the other day. Like, you asked me about LeBron. Like, I think LeBron legitimately could pick L.A. Paul George could pick L.A. And, I mean, you got a pretty damn good team if you're the Lakers, built there. As many people that rag on Lonzo Ball, you put really good players around Lonzo, his ability to see the floor, I don't give a shit if he shoots 28%. He don't have to shoot the ball.
I mean, he's the youngest. He is the youngest guy to get a triple double, so he can play.
Yeah, he can play. Just that funky release. It's gonna have a hard time getting it off. And then just it's confidence. It's dead legs because you're not used to playing so many games in a week. And then it's all mental. Like if you come into a game and you're 0 for 5, you're like, damn. Like I'm 0 for 5. All right, I got to take this one. I'm going to make this one.
Yep.
And so you're kind of forcing a little bit. And once he settles in, once he's once we look at February, you're going to see Lonzo settle in. He's never going to be a
so.
15 to 20 point scorer. It's just not going to be Lonzo Ball.
I think he could. I think he could be 15. I think 15 would be like his ceiling.
I would say about 12. 12 is his baseline.
I mean, he's damn near averaging 10 right now, so I think 15 is
but possibility. If you're going to have really good players around him, 12 is an easy number. Efficiently getting 12, and then you're averaging say 12 assists. Between 10 and 12 assists, and 8-9 rebounds. That's a damn near walking triple double. And I'm not going to sit there and say that Russ is a bad player. Going back to OKC, just to wrap it up real quick. But if you look at all the things that are kind of lined up, Sabonis, phenomenal, like you said, Gonzo. Oladipo's a damn all-star.
Yes.
In the East. And
I mean, you can make the argument he's been the best two guard in the East this year.
And basically, Russell Westbrook fans were basically saying that Oladipo was basically borderline, a bust at what was he the second pick?
Oladipo was number 2. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was a bust for being the second pick of how much, how trash he played in OKC. How is any player going to be successful playing with somebody that hogs the ball and jacks up, pull up jumpers in a wild manner with a minute left in the game? And then you're sitting there as a teammate in the locker room, like, how, Sway? Like, I mean, like there's just no, like, how did you think you were going to win this game, Russ? Like, there's no way. Like, we've all seen the videos, the dude, I can't remember his name, that does the LeBron James locker room, like, dogging out Kevin Love and Kyrie last year in the finals. Like, he does those parody videos and stuff like that. Like,
the UPS videos.
That dude needs to do some Russell Westbrook, like Carmelo, Paul George videos for this year, because I don't have faith, and I was super high on OKC coming in. I don't know that it's going to work because I don't know that Russell can take a step back and see long term rather than right now.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. Now I will disagree with you on this. Both of y'all go back and do MVP last year. I probably would have given it to Kawhi Leonard, best player on the best team, and that would have been playing both ends of the floor. Second in defensive player of the year voting. We saw what he did offensively. Kawhi probably would have been my MVP, but I can't get mad at James Harden. I can't. But for this year, I've got DeMarcus Cousins, number 5. I think he's been fantastic so far. I know, Pete, you said it won't.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, do you think – let me ask you this real quick. The style of play that the Pelicans play, Anthony Davis can play inside out. DeMarcus is shooting threes now, able to take guys off the dribble and still obviously post up.
Yeah.
When Rondo comes back, do you think that hinders them, or do you think that's going to help?
I actually think it might help them, man. I don't know why, but I think it might help. I do. Okay. I think it may help them. And I think, Cousins, he's done it for a month. I mean, it's a long season, but so far I like what I've seen from DeMarcus. Okay. I think, and I hope he continues it because he's so talented. So I hope this continues. At 4, I've got Kristaps Porzingis. We all know what he's done. I mean, the guy's averaging 30 points, 8 from 3, 485 for third, fourth in the league in blocks, over 2 a game. He's been fantastic. I've got Antetokounmpo 3. A lot of this, obviously, if the Bucks were a better team, he'd be number 1 because I think he has to have the best season. But the record goes in, and I'm changing how I did it last year. I'm just gonna, as long as you've got a winning record, you're 500. I'm gonna put you in there. You have to for half the East. Exactly. I caused a lot of controversy last year, and it is what it is. At number 2, I got Steph Curry. The guy's been phenomenal. One thing I think people, absolutely. When you had him at 3rd, I was like, yes. I got it too. They're tied for the second best team in the NBA. He's been their best player this year, I think. Mm-hmm. Defensively, he's been much better. You're seeing it. He's stronger physically. They've talked about it. He's getting to the foul line a lot more. So I like what I'm seeing from him. Obviously, like Pete said, everything they do offensively is predicated around Steph Curry. You take him out of there, and it's not the same. And one is James Harden. I mean, the guy's been phenomenal. And here's something that nobody's mentioned. He's not getting the foul calls, and he's still averaging 30. The guy can play basketball. Shout out to Byron. I'm not a hater. He claims that I shouldn't say I'm from Houston because he thinks I always hate on Houston teams, but James Harden's my MVP. The guy's been fantastic.
You did jump on the Astros bandwagon, though.
But here's the deal. I didn't jump on the bandwagon. Cubs
can't
fan.
jump on the bandwagon.
No, I'm not jumping on the Astros bandwagon. I had the Cubs going to the World Series at the start of the season. I didn't have them winning, but I had the Astros in there. Winning.
If you remember, I had the Astros winning last year.
Yeah, I had the Astros in the World Series the last 3 years. They made it this year finally. It was Astros Cubs has been my pick the last 3 years, so I'll say that. I wish the Cubs would have played the Astros. I think the Cubs probably would have lost because I think getting Verlander was huge, and we're going to baseball now, but that's what we do here. And I want to say this before I cut off. Everybody, please, Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, this weekend, when you get a chance, please, everybody, go see Justice League. From what I've seen, some of the they did a fan screen for Justice League. The YouTubers, they've all done their videos. They're saying it's fantastic. Please, everybody, go see Justice League.
I'm going to say this because I have a kid, so I can't ever make it to the actual movie theater probably for the next 5 years because this is not going to happen. So I don't know what's going to happen with the entire franchise because I feel like every one of these type movies are hyped up. It gets all this fanfare, and then you see it, you're just like,
No, I get you there. Wonder Woman was tight, though. I love Wonder Woman.
Yeah, Wonder Woman was good. The rest of those DC movies freaking suck.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I love Man of Steel.
Dark Knight was the best series. Batman vs Superman was hot garbage.
I love Man of Steel. Yeah. I love Man of Steel.
That was like the worst movie DC has ever made. Even the extended version, that was awful too.
Damn.
I wasted 3.5 hours of my life.
You talking about Batman vs Superman?
Yeah, I actually liked
Batman vs Superman, the extended version.
I like the Ultimate Edition.
It's all right. I'm glad they finally are going to scrap Ben Affleck as Batman. Like he's questionable of like I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it or whatever.
I like Ben Affleck as Batman. I
hate Ben Affleck as an actor, so I just
I didn't. I hate him as Batman.
I just don't.
Damn. I don't. Hey, but Gonzo, let me ask you. You like Man of Steel, right?
Who? Man of Steel. Man of Steel was okay. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great.
Man, I thought it was great. I love Man of Steel.
So I can't hype these movies. Now I will give Wonder Woman its due because was it Gal Gadot? Is that
Gal Gadot? She was really good.
She's a really good actress, and I think very underrated as far as she was in the Fast and the Furious. She was in a comedy I watched. It was Keeping Up with the Joneses or something like that.
Yeah.
That was all right. I think that she's going to be kind of the next, generation of actresses that kind of takes over. I think kind of the criteria of what movies were back in the 90s and 80s and further back before my time. I just don't think that movies are judged on the same criteria. So saying like you get these reviewers that are like, oh man, this Justice League is the greatest, it's like, well, are you comparing it? What are you comparing it to?
But here's the deal, though. A lot of these same guys said Batman versus Superman was trash. And that's why I'm like, if they said Justice League was really good and they didn't like Batman, okay. I think it's good. They said the trailers don't do the movie any justice. That DC threw us a curveball.
No.
They said they threw us a curveball that the movie it's so much better than what the trailers predict.
Those people were probably paid to say that.
Yeah, that's
right. I don't know. No, they couldn't have been paid because these are just random people. There's no way DC paid them. We're going to find out Thursday night, though. I know you're going to see it this weekend, Gonzo, right?
Absolutely not.
What?
See, I won't.
I would see Justice League. I was on that movie, Justice League. It would serve me no justice to watch it.
See, you know what you got to do, Gonzo? You got to go early Saturday and pay $5 for the matinee.
No, I hopefully, I'm going to fire stick it.
There you go. Oh, nice.
Hey, I'm going to admit everybody, I will be there Thursday night, 6 p.m. my time with bells on. I'm ready.
Oh.
I don't think you're going to be honest.
I'm going to feel nauseous after you realize how terrible it was.
Hey,
I don't know if
man.
there's
Hey,
a
you're
movie
gonna see
coming
me
out.
on Twitter. You're gonna. Hey, I already know on Twitter. I'm gonna be praising this movie, and y'all gonna be like, "Damn, Matt, you're dumb."
I'm just gonna put asterisk trash, and
Absolutely.
Hashtag trash.
Hey, that's exactly what the hashtag is going to be. Hashtag
Hey,
asterisk
hey,
trash.
you know what? Before I go on, because we don't want to get this into Marvel, DC, and all that, but I think what we're gonna do, we're gonna end this now. Uh, and next week, I will come back again next week. Uh, and I'm going to try to do this once a week. I know I've taken some time off here, but this was fun. This was
yeah,
good
this was
stuff.
good.
I'm not going to do the power rankings every week like we did last year because I think that gets
Right.
repetitive.
It gets a little
Do it
stale.
once a month. I think once a month is better
Mhm.
for rankings
Agreed.
and stuff because every week, I mean, there's not going to be much change.
Right.
Maybe in the NBA, the team rankings, there might be a little bit just because there's a lot of teams right there.
Right.
But everything else, it's just going to be repetitive, and I think it gets boring. So I think that's what we'll do every month. So the next time, middle of December, we'll do another power ranking. I enjoyed tonight. So next week, I'm going to try to come on. Like tonight was a very light night in the NBA. That's why I wanted to do it tonight.
We might have to do early in the week next week because it's Thanksgiving. Don't forget, because I forgot
that's
about that
true.
earlier.
Yeah, very good point.
Today.
Thank you, Pete. Man, obviously, we're not going to go Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah, it's crazy that it's that quick. I mean, we might have to do like Monday or Tuesday, something that
Whatever day, Monday, Tuesday, Friday. Well, not Friday because Czar does his thing Friday. I don't want to jump in there. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of those 3 days, whatever is the lightest day in the NBA, that's when we'll be on.
You're the new hot panelist on the Sim Nation Sim Hangout now. So you're the sixth man.
Yeah, I mean it is what it is.
So it's been good stuff though, like good discussions.
So.
Like I really like enjoyed the last two shows. I haven't obviously don't catch them immediately live just because my schedule has been so crazy. But I try to chime in, once I get home and everything like that. So
absolutely
good stuff. So
it is good stuff. It's a lot of fun. But I want to go now before we jump off of here. Gonzo, you got any shout outs?
Shout out to you guys, man. Excellent show, man. Good topic. Good talk. Fun times.
Yes, thank you. What about you, Pete? You got any shout outs?
I just shout out everybody that are sim gamers as far as 2K goes, that actually play real basketball, because I do still play 2K a good bit, and just people that are just genuine people, across the board, because I think that a lot of times it's overlooked, just in general, just in life. Like us three, get along very well. We got guys like Czar, Books, like everybody's, pretty, down to earth as far as a whole, and just collectively, whatever backgrounds we come from, are able to just come together, talk about basketball. It's not, a race issue. It's not a sex, gender issue, nothing like that, because, with these podcasts, with, the sim hangouts, like all of that stuff, like it brings people together. So, I'm always willing to do this as often as I can. Obviously, having an almost year-old son, it's a little bit harder than it used to be.
And that's part of the reason why we haven't been on as much. I want to get Pete on as much as possible because he is kind of the originator of this, and it's not the same without you, Pete.
I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I've had to take a step back across the board, whether it's catching basketball. There's a lot of times where I'm up at 5:30 in the morning. I might have to catch a game, like, skipping through on replay, in fast forward mode, rather than, catch the game live the night before. So a lot is different, when you have a kid, but I'm just blessed to, to have him and have my wife and have great friends and all you guys to talk basketball with, and, and everything. So good stuff.
Absolutely. Of course, I'm gonna shout out the entire Sim Nation, everybody, Czar, OG, Nelson, John Marcus, as I know he likes to speak. He doesn't like the whole greedy thing, so we'll call him John Marcus. He did retweet me tonight. I actually tweeted him back and told him I appreciate it because I like that guy. But also, we want to shout out Byron, Brady, My guy Snotty Drippin. I know he gets into a lot of heated stuff on Twitter. That's my guy. Dave Dufour, all those guys, man. Duncan Smith, they're doing fantastic stuff. And my guy Coach Nick over at B-Ball Breakdown doing fantastic stuff. Shout out to all those guys. But I think that's going to close us out for now. And like I said, next week we'll try Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, one of those days. I will tweet it out. I have to look at the NBA schedule. We'll see what the lightest day is because obviously we all like to watch the NBA. I know I do. And that's why we didn't go on yesterday. It was a heavier schedule. I won't lie. Tomorrow's a heavy schedule, so I had to do it today. But so next week, that's what we're shooting for. So until then, everybody enjoy your. We'll be on before Thanksgiving, but everybody enjoy the rest of your week, your weekend, all that stuff, and we will see y'all next week.